There we are. Wawa Nui.
Wawanui. Ah, wow.
Yeah. Oof.
I'll actually need a moment to arrive here.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, what I've just said before we went live. Well, I'm as ready as I can be. Hello to everyone. Hi, Wawanui. Thank you for being here with us for this moment where we come together and where we start sharing again in this way. Before I think we say anything more, I would like to log in and to start this moment off in that way. Tihei Maori Ora Ma Ha Ka Wa Ta Hi Ta Wa Ka Ha Ma I Tengoa Te To Iri Te O Te Wana Wai Ruatapu I Tengoa Te Whenua Te Rani Te Katau Wai Ruatapu I Tengoa Te Whaia Te Matua Te Tama Wai Ruatapu I Tengoa Huna Huna Ina Wai Ruatapu Tihei Maori Ora. Well, thank you for everyone. It's so beautiful to see you all here. Hello to Huna Marari in Vancouver, and to Huna Marowa, also in Vancouver or somewhere around there. Hello, Jane. Huna Tawaho, Huna Hasamatere. So good to feel you all here. And mahari wa ata huna hatoni rari here in Hamburg. Hi, brother. So beautiful to have you all here. Yes, we're in this moment, we just open up this channel again for us to come together here, for us to have moments of sharing here in Mauta's name, not only, but in the spirit of his, for sure. As this is what he would have wanted. He would have wanted us to come together and to be together and to continue the moment of the great 0 point. I'm sure that every one of us has felt this in one way or another. What I want to share with this is probably most of you are familiar with his markings and with his signature, with which was the signature of the great 0 point, or the 0 point, the light of Father. And so this title comes in its meaning with many dimensions. I'm sure you can see that, and you've received that already. Um, for me personally, when all of this happened and when the 0 point entered in that way where it was entering omnipresence, even though it is always omnipresent, but omnipresence in a different way, I could feel everything and nothing at the same time. So it was felt, it was witnessed by all of us, I'm sure. And I would be most grateful to hear more about how it was for all of you. So at a later point, I would welcome everyone who would like to share from their experience and from what is in their hearts. Further, this moment is for us to share a little bit about what took place, like what happened. I'm going to share right away that I'm not going to go into any medical details because this is not the place for it. But we will share a little bit on, what took place and what took place in the weeks in Mexico, what took place while he was in the hospital, and all of that. Where can we begin with that? I mean, he had already shared on his last lives that, he was looking to take space for himself and to look after his health. And he was doing that. In the last months, he was focusing on himself, which was so good. And I was so happy. We were all so happy that he was taking this time finally for himself. And so in the days before he was hospitalized, he had shared that he felt weaker and he was not eating a lot, and he was even not communicating a lot with me. He was just sleeping. He said, "I'm tired, I'm sleeping." So I felt, okay, he's just resting, this is what his body needs, so this is good. But I do remember that I think it was the day before he went into the hospital that I saw him on a video call, and I could see something had changed in his face, in his expression, and it made me very worried. And I was not the only one worried. The Hunas, the elves, which we call them, that live in Playa as well, had been already with him and looking after him, and they've started to become more worried as well. So they talked to another doctor, and at that point, a second doctor came to see Mauta. And that doctor then said, when you're not better tomorrow, you need to go to the hospital. And this is when the whole situation started for us as a team. I do remember that Mauta called me, and I could feel that he was worried about getting into the hospital because it would come with a lot of expenses. And I do remember that on that night, I already contacted you guys, right, Tamake, and said, okay, we are looking at this. We need to somehow make this happen. And so the next day, we started right away to set everything up to get funding going so that Mauta would be at ease in terms of, that he would know, okay, help is on his way and he can go ahead and look after his health. Yes, and then the next day he got into the hospital. And on that day, I also didn't hear that much from him because they were just busy with the hospital stuff and all of that. But I do remember that I, again, was very worried because when I was able to speak to him, I could feel something was not right with him, which we know now was that his body had started to go septic, and he was in high fever. And so it was the right thing that he went into the hospital, and they were able to stabilize him. And then they did a lot of tests with him, like a lot of them, because nobody really knew what was going on. And it was very confusing because already in the months before, Mauta had been to a clinic to get blood tests and scans done, and ultrasonic exams and stuff like that. So yeah, it was just, for me over here in Germany, I was like, okay, but we've already done all of that. Like, what's going on? So they ran more tests and all of that. And like two days after, I think it was on the Tuesday, that it was already clear that he would have to get surgery somehow. So that's what we focused on then, because it was about his gallbladder that was inflamed, and that was causing the sepsis in his body. So that was life-threatening at that moment. So the doctors were focused on getting that probably removed, but they didn't know if it would have been, if they would have to remove it fully or what was going on. They've said we need to see what's going on once we open him. And so, yeah, the whole situation in the hospital in Mexico is also not easy, as he went into a private hospital, which meant they didn't do any work without having the money up front. So this was also one of the challenging things that were there. Was it on that Tuesday? I think it was that I've decided to fly into Mexico a week earlier. I had already a flight for a week later, but then I decided, no, I'm going to fly in. And at that point, another Huna had already come and joined Mauta in Playa to help him and to support him and to look after him. And I decided to come and fly in as well. And so I booked a flight. 5 hours later, I was at the airport and traveling to Mexico. And I got there on the 8th of January. And during that time, it was clear, okay, he's going to either go into surgery while I'm in the air, or, I didn't know. While I was in the air, I didn't know if he would go into surgery right away. But once I landed in Playa, I knew then, okay, he still hadn't been in surgery. So I was already like worried, what's the delay, because we already had a Huna who had, where's the word? Made sure that the funding is there for him to proceed with what was necessary. So yeah, I got into the hospital and was there, and then he talked to me and told me, yeah, the next day I'm going to go into surgery. And he was very positive, and he said that he trusted the doctor and that she is a young, capable, intelligent woman, and that he feels well looked after in her care. So that was a great relief for me. And for sure, the biggest relief was to just be with him. And so I stayed the night. All the nights before, when he was in the hospital, Mauta was never alone. We had a beautiful group of people that looked after him. One of his close friends from Mexico, Gloria, and then Lena and Fraser, the elves, and Hunapa, Lee. And all of them stayed one night with him until I got there, and then I stayed with him the night before his surgery. So we basically just rested, and I looked after him, and I made sure that he had everything that he needed. And in the next morning, we had a good morning, and he wanted to shower, so I helped him shower, and I helped him clean up and feel good. And but already that I could feel, after he got out of the shower, was already quite a lot for him. And after that, I could feel, okay, his focus and his energy was declining. And then it was time for him to get into surgery, and he was urgent, not urgent, he was eager, that's the word. He was eager to get on with it, and he kept on saying, just put me under, like, let's go, put me under. Which, of course, and now is a weird thing to remember, that he would say that and repeat. And then the last thing that he said to all of us, because we all were with him when he went into surgery, was, "See you on the other side." And yes, then we went and had something to eat, and he was in surgery, and we knew that the hospital would call us once he's out, and then we would speak to the doctor. Yeah, so after we got back to the hospital and the doctor came and spoke with us, she told us that his situation was way more critical than they would have first thought, and that they were not able to get all of the work done that they would have liked to. So in that moment, we already knew, okay, we're facing some serious things here, and we will need to see how things proceed. But still, in that moment, the thought never went to, that he maybe wouldn't make it through. Yes, I was able to see him that night after his surgery, after he woke up. He was very, of course, very weak. He just came out of the, what do you call it? Yeah, you know what I mean. And I was able to stay around 5 minutes with him, because he was in the, what do you call it? Intensive care unit, ICU. So unfortunately, I was not able to stay that night with him. So that night he had to stay by himself, or, with the nurses and all of that. But I told him that I would be back right away next day, like right when the visiting hours would be, I would be back. And that I was, and I remember that I was standing there, was eager to be let into the ICU, and I was not, understanding what's the delay here. But then the doctor from the ICU came out to me and said that Mauta had a hard time breathing, and that he said a lot of things. I don't remember it all, but he said then and there that it would be a question if he is able to make the day. So that was a moment when, it first hit me. Like the first huge wave of emotions hit me, and I do remember that I was waiting outside for the others to arrive, because they were staying behind for a moment, because we were only able to see him one at a time. So they said, "Fiona, you go ahead. We'll catch up with you soon. There's no point in all of us just waiting in the hospital. We can look after other things." And so I called them and said, "You got to make it. You got to come here right away. I need you here." And I do remember that I felt like, this cannot happen. This cannot happen. So that was really, really tough. And then the others came, and all of them, like, we all went to see him once again. And at that time, so on that day already, it was like that Mauta, he was not really, I know that he knew that we were there, but he was in his own space. He was fighting with himself in a way. So we were all there, and then we waited, and as it is, we were not able to stay with him, which is so sad. So we waited in the lobby, and then the moment came where I was just on the phone with one of the girls to catch them up, and then Fraser came and said, "We have minutes." And I was like, this is not real. This is like, so I ran upstairs and entered the room, and Mauta was still at that moment. And so I was in my emotions and was just crying. I was angry. It was so many things at once. So and then I asked the guys, like, can please the others come in? Like, we need to be together. So in that moment, the others just came in, like, not even dressed in the stuff that you usually need to put on. And I remember this moment where I just like, where I was so angry and I just threw all of the medical stuff to the ground. And then we were all together. And Lena, who was with us, who's also a nurse, she told me a few days after that, she knows, like, also from the medical, what do you call it, like all the stuff there, that she knows that in the time where we were all standing there with him, that was the time when Mauta went, when he passed. Yes. And I do remember that there was a moment before where we were all sitting down together and we had a little kawa up in the lobby and we were just sitting there together, focusing on the energies, focusing on giving positive energy in. And we were just focused on assisting Mauta to make it through, like all of us were, and everyone was felt there. um there was a moment where we felt the dragons come in, and I do remember Huna say, okay, the dragons have him now, he is in their authority now. And that was roughly about 30 minutes before he passed. And so when all of that happened, it was just surreal. As I said, it was like nothing and everything at the same time. And it was, yeah, like for all of us, I think it was just a shock in a way. Yeah. But I'm grateful now that we were able to be all of us together there, and that we had that moment, and that I know and that we know that he felt us there and that he knew we were with him. All of us were with him. I know that he felt that for sure. Uh, and after that, things had to proceed. Mm. So we all got up each day and looked at what had to be tackled, if we can word it like that. But for sure, the day after was the weirdest of them all, because we were confronted with the hospital and making sure that we could proceed with honoring Mauta's body and bringing the ceremonies to him. And, as it was a private hospital, we had, how did I say that? It almost felt like we had to bail him out, because, there were more medical bills that the hospital wanted us to pay, but we were like, no, we're not paying them. Like, we're not legally bound in any way. We are friends. We don't need to pay anything here. So we came to an agreement with the hospital. I made like a significantly lower payment than they wanted to, have Mauta's body be picked up by a funeral service. Imagine that. So that was the weirdest moment. And what I can share is that there was a moment where the police came, and the police was called by the hospital, not by us. So the hospital called the police, and the police turned out to be the angels that worked in our favors, because the police was like, well, just get to an agreement. And we said, this is what we can do. We will do nothing more. So the hospital had to take what we offered, and then we proceeded with things. And then we were very blessed to have this one funeral home in all of Playa, which allowed us to do ceremony on 2 days, which was something that, is not likely to happen, because what took place in a way was illegal to take place. We were not allowed to be with the body, but they still allowed us to do what we wanted to do. So yeah, this was on the Unrasa. So on Mauta passed on Unratoho, the day of the celebrated one, of course. And then we went into ceremony with his body on Unrata, the day of the great 0 point. And it was all four of us and the son of Gloria, who helped us a great deal as well, Malon, who both of them just helped us with all the legal things and all the stuff, when it comes to Mexico, and without them we couldn't have done any of it. And he was with us there to be a translator between us and the funeral guys. And so we went into the room, and I uncovered Mauta's body and I started washing it. So I washed the body, and I've oiled the body, and I've combed the hair, and I've oiled the hair, and we dressed him, and we placed all his things with him, like all his most precious items and tools, and some flowers, and stood in ceremony, and we made sure that his body would be honored in this way. That was very important to me. And then we spoke. I spoke the login and the karakia. And then on the next day we came back, because that would be, we all took this day by day. Literally, we didn't know, we got up the day and we said, okay, this is our main focus. So my focus was with Mauta. Like, I just followed the energy of him. And so on that Sunday, the funeral guys told us, well, we're going to cremate him tomorrow. So we said, okay, we'll be coming back tomorrow. And on that day, we also provided opportunity for the friends and neighbors of his condominium to come and join. So they sat in a room. And that was also the moment where we could go on a call with his family to share and to have a moment for them to say their goodbyes as well. So that's what took place on that day. And I again spoke the login and the karakia for him once more. And then he was cremated on that day with his robe on, a white robe with a great Z with his signature, gold embroidered on the back, and his tukutukos. And he had also received some gift that went with him as well. The hummingbird, the bird, the feathers went with him as well. What else? I think that was it. Yeah. And then on that night, we sat down at a dinner with all the people from the neighborhood, and we shared a beautiful dinner moment with everyone at a long table, like he would have liked, like he would have said in one of his favorite restaurants in Playa, Sabrina's. So that was beautiful. We all had pizza. And yes, after that, we the four of us had a moment to breathe. And I don't remember. Yeah, on the Tuesday it was that Lee would leave again for his home. So he stayed for a week. And on that morning, I think it was that we brought the flowers that were um, in the ceremony to the water. Yeah. And if you would be so kind, Tamaaki, I also brought some videos of that, some pictures and videos for you to share from that moment. Oh, yeah. And I want to share that on that day before when we prepared for the ceremony on that Sunday, I wanted to bring some flowers. So we went to a flower shop, and I opened the door, and there was like this, were just a bunch of sunflowers, but there was this one sunflower that was literally just looking at me, and I could feel like the big smile energy. And that's this sunflower that you're seeing here, being brought to the beach. And this was the beach right down from his apartment, where he would do a lot of his seal ceremonies and person seals in Mexico, other ceremonies. And also he did a lot of recordings in the early days here at this place. And so, yeah, it felt right to bring this flower there. And I do remember that on that same day, I went back to the beach in the afternoon to take a swim, to just refresh. And I was curious about, okay, where did the sunflower wash ashore? Because I thought it must be somewhere. But I looked around and it was like nowhere to be found. And I even walked down the beach a little further because I was like, maybe it's around the corner, but it was nowhere to be found. And I was like, wow, it just disappeared. So that was very beautiful. And if you would share the picture of the four of us from that morning as well, that would be beautiful. Mm. Yeah. So that were the four of us that were with Mauta in the moment of his passing. And at this point, I want to express my gratitude again for everything that these three have done. Not only for Mauta, but also for me. So grateful, forever grateful. Not only for these three, but for every one of you who helped and who was there and who supported and who held the field and who held the frequency of love in their hearts. Yeah. So, and after that moment in the evening, Lee left for his home again. So that was interesting. He came in on the day of the Maki and he left on the day of the Maki. And I proceeded to be in Playa for another around 3 weeks, I think, yeah. So I stayed in Playa exactly a month. I came in on the 8th and I left on the 7th, but I arrived back here at home on the 8th and I also left on the 8th. So that's interesting as well. Yeah. And in the weeks after, I just, took care about the things in Mauta's apartment. And yeah, there were lots of things to organize and lots of things to let go of. Was was an intense process for sure, which I think we all felt in our own way. And there were a few gifting ceremonies that I did. In the last week of my stay in Playa at that moment, which was already at the beginning of February, there was already, of course, also Mauta's birthday, the day where he would have celebrated his 61st birthday. And for that day, I had already felt the island Cozumel for my whole stay there, but then I remember the morning before, so on the 2nd, I sat at the sunrise and I could see a fire dragon in the sun. And then I looked up and then I could see a cloud, which looked to me like an ancient goddess. And I was like, okay, so she's really calling me. And I'm like, yes, I'm already committed. I'm coming over tomorrow. And then I do remember on the sunrise on his birthday, I could see the face of Ekbalam in the clouds. And I'm like, yes, I'm coming. So I went over to the island on his birthday and I took a bike tour to the Healing Lagoon, which is all the way on the other side of the island. And it was a very precious place to Mauta. He did a lot of energy work there. And I do think that he shared with me that this was the moment where he remembered that this once was Atlantis, or this was once Lemuria, but also where Atlantis started, where first Atlantis was. And so I went to the Healing Lagoon to just, what did I want to say? To just bring his energy there as well one last time. So I brought a few of his things with me, and some of the things were meant to be gifted there. And I can share some of that energy with you as well from the Healing Lagoon. I know that some of you have already been there, but for those who have not, this is on the island Cozumel, the island of the goddess, which Mauta would always say. And it's on the wild side, on the uninhabited side of the island. And it was such a beautiful day. It was very sunny, not too hot, very windy, as you can see, lots of waves coming in. And I had the Healing Lagoon almost to myself. There were not many people there. And so I gifted a few things and then made my way back after that. Yeah. And then on the last day, I went to see the sunrise each day. That was really what it gave me, provided a lot of strength. Do you want to show that? Yeah. So here you can see one of some of the crystals and things that were gifted. This was a beautiful moment. Each one of them told me where they wanted to be thrown. And this was, I think, obelisk from Egypt. One of a few. And this one, I realized, was part of the kawa that I set up in February a year before. And it was part of the kawa that was set up for the two-headed snake mission. And there it's all of a sudden in two pieces. Isn't that interesting? A dragon marble that wanted to get right into the lagoon over there. This device, I think that's the next thing that's going in. Yeah. And with this one, it's very interesting because I threw that into the ocean as you can see there. And a few moments, like right when it probably hit the bottom of the ocean, a wave crushed into the rock and the rock literally moved under my feet. And I was like, whoa, it was literally moving. I could feel the vibration in my feet. I'm like, oh, wow. Okay, so this really was meant to be gifted over there. Yeah, this is a very magical, beautiful place. So if you ever come to the island of Cozumel in Mexico, go and visit the Healing Lagoon at Punta Morena. This is right. This there, right there is the Healing Lagoon. Yeah. And so, yeah, after that, I stayed for a few more days and more gifting took place to the ocean. On my last day, I took some pieces, some coins and other things to the ocean. We don't need to. Well, you can yeah, show the video where you can see the little kawa that I had there. Yes, and also this little bottle, which I remember the moment where Mauta was gifted this by one participant from the undoing ceremony on Mont Saint Michel, and he had invited Mauta to write something on it, like a message, and toss it into the ocean. And he never did that. So I felt, okay, I'm going to put down a message and I'm going to bring it to the ocean, and some coins and other things. And, you know, it was a really beautiful moment. The birds already that day and the day before were extremely active and were showing up big time. And you remember the blue jay rackles, tamaake. I had only seen them one time before, which was around a year before. And on those 2 days, on both days, they showed themselves at Playa 88, which was very beautiful. Unfortunately, I'm just seeing that my battery is about to die. I thought it would last longer. So I might need to pop out. But this is okay because I'm at the end of my sharing for now, because later on that same day I flew home. So maybe it's time for somebody else to jump on, and then I'll probably just draw out my phone and join back on my phone in a few moments, okay?
Yeah.
So
There we go. So that's the link to join us on screen. And in the interim, while we wait for, let me get her off of there. It's just sitting and spinning. This is the video. This beautiful bird in Playa. I'd spent a lot of time in Playa. It was a total of over a year where I got to stay with Mauta and been down to this area quite a few times. We have our graduation down here, and we'd never seen these birds before. And Mauta's cousin Anaru was visiting for his birthday last year, got sealed here, and that's when the birds showed up. I think there were 12 of them. They're beautiful, beautiful birds. So this was the only other time that Kahasahi has seen them, is when she did this visit at the end of her trip in Playa. I'm about to try and get Cast the heat back in. There she is. Mrs. Huna.
Yeah, so you just showed the video of the birds.
Yes, I'd shared. That's when Anaru got sealed the first time that we had seen them in Playa. It was so
Yes,
beautiful.
that was a very special moment, and I do remember that on both these mornings, as I've already had shared. For me, that was kind of like my routine in those days where I was in Mexico, that I got up and I went to watch the sunrise each morning and would either take a swim or go for a walk. And on those 2 days, those last 2 mornings, the birds were just showing themselves, like, just more. Like, I just saw all the birds, like eagle, the pelicans, all of them would just cross my path on especially those 2 mornings. And I was like, wow, you're really showing up in abundance. And then even on the last day where I was, taking a rest by the pool because I had already everything set up, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna chill out, allow myself to take in a few more sunbeams. There were two beautiful birds in the condominium area as well, and that was also something rare, because usually they would be blocked off from this net on top
Mm-hmm.
there. So yeah.
So there are a few other clips that we have. I don't know if you want to show them. There's one of you with the sun. There's a white rose. And then
Oh
there's some
yes.
light codes.
Oh
So which one do
yeah.
you want to do next?
Well, the one with the rose, because yeah, as I've left the apartment, I had a call with Hunapa the day before, and he said, "Are there roses in Mexico?" And I'm like, "Yes, sure. Well, could you leave a white rose?" And I was like, "Oh, thank you. That's such a beautiful idea." So I've placed some kotahara and some of the blue sand that I found in Mauta's apartment, with a shell that I found, and some of the flowers that grew on his balcony, and the white rose, to leave that for the apartment. Yeah, before I left. So that was the last thing that I did there. Set up this little altar. And that was usually the thing that I would do. I would set up the altar for Mauta before I leave. And yeah, to share the energy of peace, and to make sure that this would spread also in that place there. And then I went and left for Germany, and again, I want to express my gratitude for, you know, our great friend Gloria and her son Marlon, both two amazing people that helped me a great deal in those weeks in Mexico with taking care of lots of things that needed to be organized, like a storage and other things, and that are still continuing to help me and us in a great, great way. And they took me to the airport, and then I got on the airport with a lot of luggage, and then I had a beautiful Huna Mataho from Germany, who greeted me in Frankfurt, because unfortunately I couldn't get a direct flight to Hamburg. So I had to go on a train, and I was like, whoa, okay. Trains usually don't stop for a long time in Germany. So I was a little bit worried that I wouldn't get all of my bags onto the train on time, because I had 4 big items with me. And so he greeted me in Germany and helped me to get my luggage onto the train. And I was very grateful for that. It was a beautiful welcome that he made me. And he brought me some food, and spent a little bit of the time, spent the time with me that I had to wait there. And then I made it home, and I was greeted by my family and my friends. and that was beautiful. But also I can share that once I arrived in Germany, it was really just extremely surreal. Was almost, yeah, I remember that I landed in Frankfurt and my stomach was turning. It felt really strange to arrive back, and it took me a moment to come to how can I say that, like, to agreeance with where I was at. It took me a few days, but that's okay. That's all part of the process. Yeah. Apart from that, I again want to express all my gratitude for everybody's help and support in each form, in each way, for this moment, for Mauta, for me, for all of us in the team. Yeah. What else do we want to speak to, Tamake?
Do you want to share those light coats as the last piece before we move on from the plane? Look at this.
We can do that. Yeah, that was beautiful. That was in the morning. And it was just a little tiny crease where this sun came through, and it was gorgeous to have the light come in such a beautiful way. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been quite the journey, and it's not ended.
No, it's not ended.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, what I can share as well is, that in those days I also, had great support from Mauta's family, which I want to express here as well, that I am forever grateful for, because I know without their support, I wouldn't have been able to be as strong as it was needed, maybe. So they've provided me with a lot of strength, and just in the way that I was received, it was such an honor. All of it, not only that, but all of it, to be able to be there for him was a great honor, and continues to be an honor. To be able to hold ceremony for him was a great honor, and in its way a huge blessing. And yeah, the journey is not over. The journey is not over. I don't remember the exact day when his ashes got sent out, but it was a few, like around maybe a week after his cremation, something around that. And was so great to know that he was received well by his family. And what I can share right now is that in the conversations where, I spoke with his sisters about, what would happen with him, I had expressed that of course I would love to be there. So they invited me to be part of the ceremony. And so I've also expressed that I would probably not be the only one who would love to be there. Yeah. So in this moment, I can share that the opportunity will come sooner or later, where we can all be together in ceremony in New Zealand to celebrate Mauta, and to come together for this big last ceremony. which is going to be a celebration. That's what I feel. It's going to be a beautiful reunion, celebration where we honor him in his homelands. And I do remember that I felt so at ease when I knew that his remains, his ashes, had made their way and that they had been received and that they're now with his family. Um, yeah, so I will share with you once we have more knowing about once we know more about the timing of things there, which now has not been looked at all because it's
Mhm.
not the time yet to think about when we're going to do that. So that moment will come, and once it comes, it will be shared, so that everybody who would like to come and join for that moment has the opportunity to do that. Yeah. What else?
Well, what's next for House of Huna? I know that is a very big question that a lot of people have,
Hmm.
and that's something that we wanted to speak to today, in addition to sharing what had happened.
Yeah. So what I can share for now here on YouTube is that, everything came as a surprise, not only for us, but also for Mauta himself. So, um, as I've already shared, we are in communication and in contact with his family, and we are figuring out together how the House of Huna is going to be restructured. This is all basically what we can say for now, um, which means that it will take us time to know exactly when and how things are going to be um, restructured, and how we can make the offers available again. Speaking to the Dragon Masters and other courses that Mauta had on his page, including all the merchandise and products and all of that, that's for now not available, due to legal reasons. Um, and it will take all of us a moment to come together and to see, okay, this is how it should be restructured. It will be restructured. That's already decided, and also that we are now here live on YouTube has been decided together with his family. That we've decided together this is what he would have wanted. He would have wanted this channel to proceed, and I mean, this already started before his passing. That other shows and other Hunas would come on this channel and share. So this feels in a way organic. This feels like what it's supposed to be. So this is where we can share that from this moment onward, um, the other shows that you had already here on this YouTube channel will proceed, which I think the next one will be the Kahiwaha show next weekend. Oh no,
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 we're coming back on
we're
Friday.
coming back. We're coming back on Friday.
Yeah,
That's true. So
yeah.
we are actually going to have a little bit of a different time schedule this month, due to just having to
Getting
get
back on
this.
track.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have to get things back on track. So Tamaki and I will come on online with the Blackbird Oracle this Friday. Um, we will share a flyer and all of that, in a few days. And then on that Sunday, at the usual time, at the usual place, the Kahiwaha show will come online. And I have not yet spoken to the Grandmothers Council, but we will also be back with the grandmothers, sometime this month. So either it's going to be the second or the third weekend of March. And then, Tamaaki and I will be back on the last Sunday of March. And then things will just roll like they did before. each Sunday you will have a live on at the same time here on HOH TV that you can join, enjoy, and take in. Apart from that, if anybody of you feels like they would like to share about their experience of this grade 0 point, if there's anything that you would like to express, you're welcome to join us and share.
There's the link for you.
Yeah, there's the link again. And if that's not what you guys are feeling, that's all right as well. I think from my end, this is about it. What do you have anything to share about the grade 0 point?
Oh God. It was just remembering that somebody asked how I was doing. It gets easier, but also not. I didn't get to be with him when this occurred, but I am really profoundly and deeply grateful for you, Kasahi, for doing the protocol, being the one to do that, and to see to his wishes and how that was handled, and to Hunapa and to Lena and Fraser for being there, and Marlon, Gloria, and everybody else there in Playa. And I know I can also speak for Kahiwaha and Matatu as well from that standpoint. It's going to take a long time to really get through this, I think.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it's just, it's change just has come in such a profound way.
Yeah, no kidding.
Where I do also remember that I had shared with you girls also this feeling of, okay, this is a huge gift. It's even though it's weird to speak about it in this way, I do want to receive the huge gift that he has delivered, which is the 0 point. And I do remember that when it happened, and I was in a different space for a few days, like I do remember that I shared with you guys that it almost felt like a trip, like it was just different, like I was different, everything was different. Energetically, my focus was just there. And I do remember that I felt this is the energy we need to hold this. We need, I felt like this urge of feeling like I want to hold this, I want to keep this, I want to expand this energy. And I do feel that we are doing this. We are in that, even though it means, and I mean, I'm speaking from my own experience, that after that there was a moment where I could feel, okay, other things are coming back into the field, and I'm like, no, I don't want this. There was like this feeling of resisting the normal to come back. And I do remember that when I came to Germany, that was the exact feeling. I could feel the different vibration of the land. The people who are here just are, working on a different program than in Mexico. It's a very different thing to be here or to be over there, not only because of the ocean and the sun and all of that, but then also just the energy of the people. Here I live in a big city. Over there it was all, less people. But I feel that right now we are expanding this huge gift, we are expanding that great 0 point, which is at the center of everything, which is at the center of all of existence, because that's where nothing and everything exists at simultaneously. That's the great eternal now. And that happened. Like, for me, there was this moment where everything stood still. And with Mauta leaving, it came with a different, because I had experienced the 0 point energy before, but this one was just different. This was like just was a whole nother level. And it just hit, it just went into all depths. And I do remember that I shared a few days after, that the pain and the love is equally big. And that's still the case.
Yeah.
And I don't feel that it will ever be different for me. Like, how could it ever be different? And for me, this is where I get strength from, this feeling of we are still in it, even though it all feels so different, but we are still in it, and we are expanding that if we allow ourselves to receive that, and if we allow ourselves to anchor that energy into our core, because that's where it belongs. It belongs into our core. And by Mauta, the one who held this light,
Mm-hmm.
gifting it, releasing it into the omnipresence on an even deeper level than before, because of course in the omnipresence everything always is present, and the other way around, the omnipresence is present within everything and everyone. But still, this is feels like it's just on a different level. And I do remember that I had a similar feeling when my father passed away a little longer than a year ago. And when I connected to his light essence, I could feel that the gift that he held in his light essence was now released and gifted to all of us. And in a way, I feel it is, to a certain degree, not everything, not every aspect, but there's a specific medicine, there's a specific gifting that is within each essence, and I feel that was gifted to everyone, to everything. And yes, it'll take us time to integrate that. And it will take us time to figure everything out, to discover it.
Yeah.
But for me, it's truly like we are now in the time of the whale and the dolphin even more. We've always been that, but still now it's really important that we come together and that we remember that, because this is what he brought, this is what he shared, this is what he stood for, this is what he lived for.
Yeah. We do have one caller.
Oh, beautiful. Wawa nui.
Wawa. It's good to see you. We can't hear you, love.
You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Hello.
Hi guys. Wawa nui girls. I just want to thank you for sharing the story and telling us how everything went. It's just so surreal to hear the story, and so surreal to hear about the passing of a person who's so with us and who's so present. And I just wanted to thank you for everything you've done, making this time, very difficult time, so beautiful for him. I think on the human level, there is nothing more beautiful than to be surrounded with such loving and beautiful people in this difficult time. So thank you for being with him. Thank you for finding the strength to go through this, and still keeping your heart open, not closing it. Keep it going. Don't you ever give up. It's the power that you have within you, and I'm just sending you so much love, and thank you so much for everything you've done. I love you so much.
I love you too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. I mean, this is truly, what she just said, keeping the heart open. That's important.
Yeah.
Even in opening it up even more. For me, it was really no choice. It was interesting. There was a moment where I felt there was no longer a choice. And that was not a bad thing. It was, for me, the sentence that came to me and that I said multiple times in this, especially those difficult days, especially to myself, was, I must trust. And all of a sudden the must came in, it's like, no, there's no debating it. You must trust. And yes, of course, there are moments where that exact thing is difficult, and where you're facing feelings and emotions that are difficult, but by staying with it and trusting even those moments and those feelings, I can say that I've learned so much. And in a way, some of the most intense initiating moments have taken place in those weeks for me. And I do feel that the great gift of the 0 point is bringing each one of us closer to ourselves, because, as I've said before, bringing this into our core is what I feel is what is invited. And if we go there, that's at the core of us. That's at the core of each one of us. It brings us closer to ourselves and to each other. So yes, opening the heart is more important than ever. Trusting each other is more important than ever. Trusting the path and trusting the process is more important than ever. And then also to not give up, for sure. No. Even though there were moments where I thought, no, this is just way too tough. No. There were moments where I felt like I need to walk away from everything. But then again, no. This always brings you back in. Doesn't it, Tamaki? This work always brings you back in.
Yeah, and I did have those moments myself of walking. It's not something that I've shared, I think, with anybody, and that maybe you do walk away from this, just thinking about myself.
Yeah.
And being in that space, and so I know how you feel with that. And I'm also reminded in this topic of keeping the heart open is the message that we got from Burning Mask. Now, with Burning Mask, that topic is about racism, and there's various words that are used in that vein. And in the work that we do and the work that Mauta does, we're getting back to the undistorted with the languaging that we use with with the Lemurian, with that quantum language. And we would look for what is the answer to that. What is the code? And it was koha. So the koha is coming in. And what did he say about the koha? Koha is gift for those who don't know. Maybe you're newer to the channel. Koha means gift. And the message that he had from Burning Mask was gift until you are crying and you have nothing else to give.
Yeah. Koha means gifting. Yeah, it speaks directly to the action of gifting. Ho speaks to the gift. But koha is the gifting, like the gift, the ceremony of the gifting that you are. And it's interesting if we, look at both of these codes individually. Ko means I am. Ko is the more ancient way of expressing I am. And if you allow yourself to speak ko, you can feel how that's already opening you up to another dimension. And then ha means first breath, koha. So koha is, of course, connected to the gift that we receive and then we'll return, which means the breath of life, the koha, like the koha that each of us do receive at the beginning of our life here on this planet. And such a strong message, such a strong code that is invited for us to embody, like to be koha, because the being, the I am that is within that, which means it's an invitation for us to remember the gifting, that we are, to remember the gifting of life, and to remember what that is in full, like. And it is connected to the abundance, of course. And that is also connected to the great 0 point, because what I've expressed already before, 0 doesn't mean nothing is. 0 means everything is.
I can confirm that independently, yes.
Yeah. And the feeling, and I do remember the potentialities and the field, that opened up. It was so huge. So massive. But that's maybe a topic for another conversation.
Yes.
Because I do feel that we are all still integrating all of this, trying to reorientate ourselves and to come back to the curiosity of things, let's say,
We do have another caller.
Yeah, beautiful.
Kamaroha.
Hello. So much love. So much wawa.
Wow.
I simply wanted to share, after receiving the email that Mauta had passed, he came to me in my dream time for pretty much the entire week after that. And so I was finding messages, not just in dream time, but also in waking moments. But within a week, I've been doing the Oracle card read to share the Lemurian astrology on YouTube. And the very first card after he passed was leadership for mine. And it spoke that the Hunas do need to step into their leadership and to own it, but to be sure that you share it. You don't have to be in front of a camera. You don't have to be expressing anything more than you're in your own location. You being you will emit the codes that are needed for right now as we're integrating. Okay, that's it. I can't do any more. Sorry.
It's all good. Thank you. Very beautiful. And what a beautiful confirmation that that reading that you did, because the way of the whale and the dolphin speaks about that. It speaks about leadership, and it speaks to us, to our community, and that we come together in our authentic selves, like that we come together in authenticity, and that we follow and that we lead each other, and I think that's very beautiful, that we are all invited to step up. It's a great opportunity. And if we allow ourselves to receive it as that, even though it also comes with its challenges, and again, I speak from experience, I do feel that as well. But, I do remember one of the last things that Mauta shared in his 20-minute sharing, his last sharing. He said, I would hope that you think of yourself as a kind and loving person, but I also hope that you think of yourself as somebody who is firm and challenging in order to assure that everything serves. And I do feel this is something that we are invited to also receive, that challenges not always come just to bring us down. No, it's just an opportunity for us to deepen our understanding and to make sure that everything serves in the right relation and in the right alignment. So taking that opportunity for us to receive challenge in that way makes leadership and makes it easier for us to step up, because it doesn't, if we don't receive challenge as somebody that it's something that wants to bring us down energetically, but more as something that actually wants to ensure and wants to initiate us, it's actually, it shifts the perspective.
Huna was great at bringing the pressure.
Yeah.
Because we get the
Yes, he
wins from
was.
that.
Hoi.
Mhm.
Thank you
Yeah.
both so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you
Thanks for coming
sharing.
on.
Yeah. Wawa.
And we have another caller. Can you actually see people in the back office when they join in, Kahasahi?
No, because I
No?
actually
You're on
joined
your
through the same link, because
Oh,
I
'cause
didn't get the digits on time, so
we
I don't
have
see them.
Mahari Wa'ata. Are you on break?
Am I on what?
Are you
On
on your
break?
break?
No, I'll be heading into work here shortly.
Oh, okay.
I came up to the coffee shop here for a while to spend some time with you ladies and to work with the notebook a bit today. Got some very beautiful energies coming in. I just want to say I love you guys. And just thank you for sharing so deeply today the stories and the energies. And I just, all of you guys, really appreciate as I'm sitting here listening to you guys and this whole 0 point, it was in just a really beautiful breath work this morning as I was waking up. And it wasn't very long, but it was very deep. And I wanted to ask you, there was something about the messages of sitting with each other and seeing each other that was extremely, just so rich at this moment and part of this Koha energy. And I just wanted to ask if you would share what your interpretation of that is. I know what I got from that. It has a lot to do with the Uma energies and being grounded in the form a little bit. And
What
when
energies
sitting
exactly
and seeing
coming
each
through?
other.
Could you catch that, because I couldn't hear it?
Yeah, the background noise is very loud.
Is it?
It's really loud
Oh,
for us.
oh wow, that's interesting. I'm so sorry about that.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's all good. You didn't know?
No. I had my earbuds in and I thought it would filter some of that out.
Nope.
Sometimes they do exactly the opposite. But
Yeah.
what specific energy was your
Uma.
question
Is it
about?
Uma? This thing? The Uma?
Yeah, and the Waituata had come
Oh.
through. I was given actually some camel tokens yesterday. Autumn had brought them up to my work last night and gifted it to me in a beautiful black pouch as I was at work. And then this morning, the love and the exchange of the koha with sitting with each other and seeing each other. It had a lot to do with our physical experiences with each other,
Yeah.
as also the gifting.
Yeah.
And that was an important one this morning.
What I mean, this is correlating, or this is revealing synchronicity with what I'm experiencing, or what I've been feeling as well, is like that it is time for us to really sit together and see each other, like fully receive each other on multiple dimensions and open our hearts for each other in that way. Like Mauta said in one of his last sharings, see each other, like see each other as you would see yourself. And this is still the same thing, you know, this is still what we are integrating. So he already shared messages beforehand. And I do remember that I spoke either to you, Mahariwa'ata, or to you, Tamaki, or some of you, that in the week of his passing, and I saw some of his sharings and some of his messages, and I could feel that there was a level of prophetic speaking that he was coming with.
Oh gosh, yes.
And there was the synchronicity with this message that you had shared, Mahariwa'ata, with us, that came up on your Facebook, that you then sent to me, and I read it, and I remember that it was still when Lee was there, so it must have been a few days after his passing, and I was reading it, and I could feel that within this message there was a messaging for me, or for us in this exact now moment, even though it was from two years ago. So yeah, I do feel that, you know, with the expansion of this great 0 point, there is this invitation of us to step out of our own way, to sit down and to see one another fully. But that also means to see ourselves fully and to receive ourselves fully in all dimensions, with everything that comes with us. And to no longer shy away from that, but to rather step into the challenge and to say, okay, I'm going to take this, like we did this moment. Like, this sharing was not easy for me to come to, and I've only decided yesterday night, yes, okay, I'm going to do, or we're going to do it, and this is how it can feel right. And actually feeling that, oh, I'm just going to invite others to come and sit and share as well. That was the thing that brought me to this, because otherwise I would have felt like, oh, I don't want to do this alone, you know, even though I am the only one who could share about this experience, you know, who else could have shared, you know. Unfortunately, Tamaake and the other girls were not there. So I'm sharing this because it correlates with this aspect of coming together and seeing each other and sitting together and letting it all land. And so, yes, the Uma is very important at this moment, because that's us. It's us. It's about becoming that full human, that full grounded human, that full Christ light Nimarana human. The Uma, which then, you know, also expends its kawa. So the Uma kawa, and the Uma hato, of course, are one, but then also are different levels of the same, you know. But it starts with the Uma. We cannot expand into holiness and into grander things if we are not sitting with the Uma. That's what I feel. And I do also feel this is about communication, big time, and community. And this already has been in the field for over a year. The invitation to remember and to rethink how we speak to one another and how we come together and how we sit together, how we show up for one another, you know. And again, oftentimes there are so many challenges here, but if we allow ourselves to see them as opportunities, it shifts the narrative, it shifts everything around, you know. It gives us a different perspective. And I feel the camel, what was it again?
Waituara.
Waituara probably came in because the camel spirit shares that it already carries its own medicine, you know. So this spirit carries everything that it needs with us, with it. So the camel already has the water in his back. So it's a reminder for us to know that everything we need is within us, and everything that we could ever possibly need is within us. Don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean that we don't need each other, but still allowing ourselves to receive ourselves fully first is crucial in order for then be able to receive somebody else fully.
Yeah, and that was just to dip my toe a little bit into the reading that I had done for February and how different that energy was when I connected to it to do that channeling. It was unlike all of the other months. It was very quiet. And that was the whole point. The whole point was just to gather. The messages were to gather with your community if you can, and have a meal. And don't forget your Uma. Don't forget your physical body.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a very prominent message that came through with the Uma. And by the way, Mahariwa Ata, I had to mute you just so we could hear ourselves here in the live. So I don't know if I can can I unmute you from here? Yes, I can. There you are. You're back.
I'm back. No, that's beautiful. That's exactly it. This is where words really don't express the depths being felt.
No, it's beyond.
I just got a car. Yeah, I just got a car 3 days ago, and that's a massive breakthrough for me. Getting a new car. It's kind of in reverse. I thought the house would come first and then the vehicle. But the vehicle is allowing more opportunity and potential for things to move. And so this morning, connecting in with that, I'm coming up with a healthier, structured routine for myself that has flexibility with my job, but what that would entail for the body. Don't have a lot of space to move around in there, but yeah, so come up here to do that, and then I saw you guys live today. And you know, that gesture is just everything. Yeah, the Waituara. And it carries that medicine, but also brings that medicine or that love where it is needed. So I just want to offer that for all of you. And just also give a lot of gratitude and appreciation for the mana and for your mana. And may you also receive it back. And receive it back, ladies. I love you, and I know you. I'm going to say it, receive it back as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. I'll talk to you later soon. I do have to get going. I love you so much.
Okay, bye.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that I can share with that message as well, honoring the physical, honoring the human, that's also been a lesson, I think, that came with Mauta's passing.
Yes.
For sure. And it's important for all of us to receive that and to see what was shared with this. And I'm sure that everybody has their personal perspective and experience with that as well. So I do feel it's important that we take the time, that everybody takes their time that they need to process all of this. And yeah, but that we stay within the connection. I think that's also important, that we still allow each other to stay within the connection with each other. And yeah, I can say again, I felt the Hunas, I felt the support, I felt the energy, and I know that it was what brought me through these moments. I could have not made it with anybody, with one of you not being there for me, or for him. And so the gratitude that just is, it's like, it's the same, everything is becoming just more expansive. And that's beautiful. But it's also something that, I feel our physical form is getting used to. And this takes a moment. So there were days where it just always was so weird, and where I was like, how can I be this tired? Well, yeah, of course. And you rethink again what you just went through, and like, okay, that's why. And then you allow yourself to rest. And I do feel that we all need to honor that, honor what our body is telling us. And I think this is a great message to close this moment, because it's one of the core messages that came with this, for sure.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else to share in terms of organizational things? I think we've covered that already earlier, right?
Yeah, the organizational stuff, yes. In terms of the rest of us that are still here, not just the two of us that are on the screen, we are continuing with our mahi. We can't not do what we do. Mm-hmm. And I was sharing this with my mom the other day. She did get to meet Mauta on a short video call once. She did think quite highly of him. I told her I feel even more emboldened to continue what I'm doing, not just with my mahi, but also with the House of Huna as a whole. And she goes, good.
Yeah. It's there. I mean, the work is there, and it's there to be done. And I trust that we will find that all together. We will stand together in this. And I do remember that when Mauta passed, there was this vision of this path. I could see it, like it was laid in front of me, and the path was there. And I knew that trust would be that which would navigate me through this.
I had this moment the day before he went into the hospital. This was prompted by Mahariwa Ata, where I don't do much with mapping these days. I still have all of the notes and the information, but she requested some mapping support for her mission. And long story short, all of my notes are there. I just can't access them now. I can't see anything. So like the map is blank. I'm like, oh, I guess I don't need this. And the message was, you're going to feel like you're flying blind for a while. Hi. But you have what you need. And then the next day he went in, and then he was gone within a week. And I've been reflecting on that. It wasn't just about supporting Mahariwa Ata. It was also about all of this.
Yeah.
Like without knowing what was going on, we knew something was happening. We just didn't know that it was him.
I had a similar thing happen the weeks before, because, I was calling with him daily, and he would express with me, yeah, I can feel the community is getting a little bit like, what's going on, like ba 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 ba. And then I was like reflecting on that, and then I was like, but everybody just needs to trust that he had shared with them everything that they need to know. And I already had that feeling as well, like he shared with me what I need to know to continue. And I mean, he had already initiated me into my own work, like, and said, well, you don't need to always ask me if this is what you're picking up is right. Like, you are trusted. Just go ahead and do your work, And so this came to me like a few weeks before, where I said, like, we just need to trust that we have everything that we need to know. And yes, even though there are moments where we feel like we're treading in the dark and we're like, we're like blind trying to find the right door, we just need to practice the patience, and we need to trust that things will reveal themselves in the right timing and in the right sequence and in the right procession of things. And this is something that we need to observe as well. There is a procession to everything. There is an energy that follows another energy. And this is, it's like a wave. And we could feel all of that, And I do remember that I said to you girls, like, we are riding huge waves. We are surfing huge waves here. And that was before I went to Mexico. Not saying that, we all spoke like, and then there were moments, of course, where I felt like this feels like a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it crushed me. And I know I'm not the only one who felt that. I know that a lot of us felt that. Still, we are invited to trust, and we need to stay with that, because otherwise it could crumble us. It could dismantle all of this. It could take it all apart. But this is not the path. And the path is there for us to walk it. And this is an invitation for all of us, individually and then also as a group of the ones that have studied this and that have committed to this to a certain degree. And this is something that everybody will have to ask themselves, where is my commitment? Where does my commitment lie? What is my mission? This is a question that's now, everybody should ask themselves that, including myself. I mean, I've already asked myself that over the last years, but still the question continues to be present. And that's a good thing too. To assure that everything serves in the right path. Yeah. And I do feel there will be more opportunities where we will come together and where we can share. And I do hope that all of you feel.
We have one guest.
Yeah.
One more guest. Our last guest Are you coming to us from Ibiza
Um,
this time?
yeah, yes, I am. Am I on time?
Uh,
I just wanted to. Wanui. I had to answer the call because Mauta's been nudging me, always putting pressure on me to come online, and so I thought, okay, I have to do this, and to thank you both, because by sharing what happened, it's like really helped with closure and with opening a new direction. And it was like the missing piece, you know, what was happening those last days and hours before he transitioned. And I was in the mountains that week, really feeling him strongly with my son. We were on a pretty tough mountains in Switzerland, and really harsh conditions. But I was using the codes, and we felt really connected and safe. But we knew something big was happening, and we were together in London when we got the news, and we were able to make an altar. But the expansion has been incredible, and feeling of Mauta, and what you all had, what you had just shared about really stepping into the work. You know, I've always been a little bit like, I don't even know what the word is. Maybe such a beautiful big presence that maybe procrastinating is not the right word, but sort of hiding like behind his beautiful big presence, and not really just going, oh yeah, next time. And the last time we spoke, I was, you know, I was a bit worried about him after that last sharing. And I had bought my ticket straight away for the graduation and shared that we were coming. And he was so happy. And I was always nagging him about, like, you take care of yourself, take time out, you know? And so we were a little worried. And but the kaha has been immense. So I just wanted to share that we really are, as a family, feeling him, and Ibiza feeling him. And my son, who was sealed at 14, turned 20 a week after he passed, and at his 20th birthday party in front of many guests who had never even heard of Lemuria, or he did the login unprompted. I didn't even know he was going to do it, and never said it before. Huna Wahohua, and yeah, it felt like the beginning, not the end, you know. And I've been now transcribing all the coursework and creating like a whole book of it, and just really studying it in a way that I just didn't even before. The motivation is there. I'm really happy that we have each other to continue this this work together. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, we have each other, and we, you know, we are here for one another. And I'm definitely there for everybody who feels the wish to connect. And I'm sure Tamaki is the same, and I'm sure every other Huna is the same as well. And it's so beautiful to see you. I don't think that we have seen each other before, but Mauta had told me about you and your son before, and yeah, had shared about some of the work
Yeah.
that you have done together. So it's so beautiful to meet you. And yes, I can relate, you know. And I mean, he even said it himself, you know. He often said to me, well, I say we do this and then we do this, you know. And this energy is now no longer there. You know, we always followed him. We accepted him as our leader, and we respected him as our elder. And now this leadership is no longer with us in that way, you know. So this is why I do feel that we are all initiated more into action, and the action is needed. The work, the mahi, is still there for us to do, and the guarantee still needs to take place. And so this is where, you know, where I came from when I invited to ask yourself about what's my level of commitment, you know, which doesn't mean that, you know, you always need to make it the absolute first priority, because, you know, we've learned taking care of yourself is very important. And, you know, we all were worried about him for a long time. And, you know, for sure, I was the one that was in his ear, and I was poking at him like every day about this for 3 years. But still, he had his own way of doing things, and this also needs to be respected. And yeah,
Yeah. Bless you. It's nice to meet
unfortunately,
you.
everything took place in this way. We don't know yet fully why, but I do think we will know at one point. We will probably understand the even bigger picture of all of this better. Yeah. And this is where the trust comes in. This is where I feel like I must trust that this somehow makes that there's some sense to this, you know, because otherwise everything would have felt like being in vain. But I know that this work is not in vain. It's far from it.
No, absolutely, absolutely not. And it makes me smile because he always used to say how he was ahead of schedule, and you know, he was always very unpredictable. And so it's like, okay, well, there you had the final, you know, laugh, really, because when I go back to the very earliest videos.
Uh-oh. Is she outside of light now? The Nimarana went outside of light.
That's beautiful. I gotta fetch my phone cable, otherwise I'll
Still
be
there.
back out
I
of
lost the
battery again.
connection.
There you are. You're back.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Forgot what I said, but yeah, I just noticed that from the very first early teachings, all of the information that I couldn't understand a word of then was all contained in the very first workshop. And it's just been an unfolding and a remembering, but it's all there. So it's up to each one of our unique templates to bring the codes in each way that we know how or that we remember. So thank you. I really, it's been really important for you to do this, this YouTube. It's been like somewhere a beautiful repository for the tears and the, it's helping with the processing. So just wanted to thank you both and to thank your whole community and the family.
Thank you. I'm happy to hear that this helped. I'm sure, you know, that the process in the distance must have been very different than the one that I went through, for sure. And finding closure can maybe sometimes be more challenging when you don't know what happened and what took place. And yeah, so I'm happy that this moment could be of service, or can continue to be of service. And again, you know, I'm here if somebody has like something which, you know, is puzzling them. I'm here to answer questions as well. Now I feel ready for that, after I had some time for myself, of course. But yeah, thank you for coming on and sharing. This was beautiful to hear that it helped. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye. Okay. 140.
It's going to be
9:44.
155. It's going to be about 155 that we've been on.
Mm-hmm. Much
And
longer than I thought.
1444,
Yeah.
as Susan emailed or texts us.
Mm.
So funny.
Yeah, beautiful. And on Friday, we'll be back with another Oracle session. And I think that's going to be quite a long and big one as well, because we will have 2 months to look back onto it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I'll have to brief myself, and we'll have to look at the cards again. I
Yeah.
have dreaded that moment because, as I've shared before, there was a moment of not only one, but there were moments where I felt like every synchronicity that came in, it just felt like for a moment, it felt like self-fulfilling prophecy. And it was just blowing my mind because everything fell into place. It truly felt like this huge melting pot, and just everything that happened before and everything that happened after that just made absolute sense in terms of the signs and the synchronicities that were there. It was just huge.
Yeah. It's like I keep calling it a Rolodex of epiphanies that just like, just keep slapping you in the face. Like, oh. Yeah.
Very, in a way, very overwhelming. And even with that whole thing, I looked back on my last year and I'm like, oh, okay, so this is why I went through that. And this is why I went through that. And my sister, she literally said, Fiona, the whole last year's everything has been preparing you for this moment.
Yeah.
And, even with the deaths that I had already in the years before in my life, it prepared me so that the flood of emotions it was extremely overwhelming, but then on the other hand, I was already, how can you say that, familiar with some of them. So when the anger and the frustration and all of these different layers of grief hit me, it didn't overwhelm me. It didn't bring me into a feeling of
great despair
or guilt, that you feel guilty because you're feeling angry at the person for the person leaving. And yes, there was a moment where I felt angry about him leaving me behind and leaving us behind, leaving the work behind, all of that. That moment was there, and that moment is needed. And I could only allow it, like I could allow myself to just feel it, without judgment from myself, and that was huge because, the first time around when it hit, when all of that came with my dad, there was judgment there, so I had already went through all of that. And so, yeah, it's just huge, so I'll know Friday will be a big show in terms of us looking back on January, February.
Yeah.
And
maybe we do it a little bit.
March.
Maybe we do it a little bit earlier. We could talk about the timing.
Yes, we will talk about it.
Yeah.
But we will literally look at the whole energy of 3 months. That's huge.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll get ourselves prepared for that, and we will share all the information about that in the groups and in the newsletter. And I'm looking forward to seeing some of you there. And remember, you're also invited to come online there.
Yeah.
And to ask a question. I would love somebody to take that offer at some point. I think it would be so exciting. Yeah. So that's it. I'm gonna go back to my knitting and to sleep now.
Good.
Thank you all for this moment. Unfortunately, I'm not able to see the comments just now on my phone.
Oh, yes, there are a lot of beautiful comments. Richard, it's good to see Richard. I know he had surgery around the same time that Mauta was in the hospital, so it's good to see him with us.
I hope you're doing great, Richard. I hope you're recovering strong.
Yes, Kashaniwa, yes, Mauta did pass at the beginning of January. There's Hasamatere. Himanua, that's Earth G. Himanua's here. Got some people from New Zealand. All the whanau from the Whenua.
Beautiful.
Who else is here? There's Marawa hanging out. Hirimata, Tawaho, Marane. Sometimes I remember people's hunas and sometimes I don't. Felicia, yes. Hi, Felicia. Let's see who else is in here. Yeah, lots of hunas. And he says, yes, thank you. I am very well.
Oh, that's beautiful to hear.
Yeah. Mawahari. Oh yeah, Mawahari. I think that's Dwayne from Virginia. It's good to see you. And Kate. Earth Cheese Love. I think that's is that Shaw? Hey Shaw. Shawlia. From Hawaii. It's good to see you. Mahakana. All right. I think that's it.
Beautiful.
Let
Thank
you get
you
off
all.
to your knitting.
Yeah, it's just relaxing me. That's what I do. And
All right.
just resting. Yeah. Sending you all so much love again and wishing you a beautiful night and a beautiful start into a new week, into a new cycle. Yeah.
We'll see you guys on Friday.
Wawanui.
Wow.